You ever feel like you don't fully belong to this era, but you also don't fully belong to the past? You use smartphones, you work with modern technology, you understand the internet, but something about today's world still feels off. If you were born roughly between 1976 and 1985, there's a name for that feeling. You're a Xennial. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why people from this small generation often feel psychologically different from both millennials and Gen X. To understand Xennials, you have to understand timing. This generation grew up right at the edge of a massive shift. Childhood happened mostly offline. Adulthood happened almost entirely online. And living through both worlds changes the way your brain processes life. When Xennials were kids, technology existed, but it wasn't everywhere. There were computers, video games, early internet, but none of it followed you everywhere. When you left the house, you were actually unreachable. Friends knocked on doors. Plans were made earlier in the day. And boredom was normal. That boredom mattered more than people realize, because boredom trains imagination. When there's no constant stimulation, the brain learns to create its own. Kids from that era built worlds with toys, played outside for hours, and learned how to sit with silence. That's a psychological muscle many people today never developed. But then something unusual happened. Right as Xennials were entering their teenage years and early adulthood, the internet exploded. Email, chat rooms, search engines, social media, smartphones. Within about 15 years, the entire structure of daily life transformed. Most generations only know one system, but Xennials experienced both. Life before digital saturation, and life after it. That creates a unique mental perspective. For example, many Xennials feel comfortable with technology, but also suspicious of it. They understand algorithms, but they remember when information wasn't filtered. They use social media, but they remember when social interaction wasn't public. That difference changes identity. You see, younger generations grew up performing parts of their lives online. Photos, updates, public reactions. Identity slowly merged with digital feedback. But Xennials formed most of their identity before that system existed, which means validation worked differently. Approval came from smaller groups. Friends, family, teachers, not thousands of strangers. So many Xennials feel uncomfortable with constant self-promotion. It feels unnatural. There's also a strange relationship with privacy, because Xennials remember a world where almost nothing was documented. No camera in every pocket, no permanent digital trail. Mistakes faded with time. Embarrassing moments disappeared. Today, everything is recorded. Everything is searchable. Everything can return years later. That shift can feel psychologically heavy for people who grew up differently. Another interesting trait is adaptability. Xennials learn new systems repeatedly. Analog childhood, digital adolescence, networked adulthood. They watched industries transform. Music, media, communication, work. That constant transition trained a different type of flexibility. You learn to adapt quickly, but you also develop skepticism toward trends, because you've seen so many come and go. Work psychology is different too. Many Xennials were raised with fairly traditional expectations. Stable career. Climb the ladder. Long-term loyalty. But the economy changed while they were entering it. Companies restructured. Industries collapsed. Job security faded. So this generation often lives between two models. The old promise of stability, and the new reality of constant change. Relationships reflect this tension as well. Xennials experienced dating before apps, before algorithmic matching. Meeting people happened in physical spaces, through friends, at events, through chance, which makes modern dating culture feel strange to many of them. It's efficient, but also oddly transactional. Even communication styles show this generational gap. Xennials grew up having long conversations, phone calls, in-person talks, full attention. But modern communication is fragmented. Messages, notifications, short bursts of attention. That shift can feel mentally exhausting. There's also something deeper happening psychologically. Xennials often carry two internal clocks, one that remembers slower rhythms, and one that operates inside today's speed. Part of them still understands patience, waiting for information, waiting for entertainment, waiting for people. But the modern world rarely waits. That creates a quiet sense of disconnection. Not rejection of technology, just awareness of how much the pace of life has changed. And maybe that's the hidden advantage, because people who remember slower systems often understand balance better. They know how to unplug, how to sit without stimulation, how to focus on one thing. In a world built around constant distraction, that becomes a powerful skill. So if you sometimes feel like you don't completely fit with either generation, that's not a flaw. It's the result of living through a historical transition. You learn the rules of two different worlds, analog and digital. And that combination created a mindset that doesn't fully belong to either one, which means the feeling of not fitting in might actually be the sign that you understand both sides of a world that changed very quickly